Good afternoon. My name is Mahir. I'm an implementation specialist here at AccuRx. And today we're going to be introducing Batch Self Book to you, which is our appointment booking solution to send a large group of your patients a link to book into one of our face-to-face appointments available in your appointment book. So what we're going to be covering today, so we'll go through a quick introduction to Batch Self Book. What is it? What does it look like? What are the benefits? And then I'll show you a quick demo. And then towards the end, we can have a Q&A session of for Batch Self Book. If you do have any questions, as Tito mentioned, please feel free to type it up in the chat section. I do have visibility of the chat section, and we can go through that towards the end of the session. But without further ado, I'll get started. So what is Batch Self Book? So Batch Self Book is a new feature we released a couple of weeks ago now, which allows you to manage appointment bookings. With Batch Self Book, you can send out a booking link to a large group of your patients at once to book into a face-to-face appointment. Batch Self Book is fully integrated with the EMIS and System 1 appointment books, so patients will see a live reflection of what's actually available in your appointment book. And you can choose which slot you'd like to send the booking link for before you send out the link to your patient. So you have complete control over who is able to book into an appointment and what kind of appointment they can book into. Just a quick note that this feature is available to all practices and is currently live. So if after this call you want to just give it a try, you can feel free to. You should be able to access Batch Self Book, and I will show you during the demo how you can do that. So what are some of the benefits of Batch Self Book? So the first benefit is that it saves you vital time and frees up your phone lines. Instead of calling each patient up or asking them to call the practice to book into an appointment, you can instead send a booking link directly to them via text message, and then they will be able to book into a time that suits them. Once they have confirmed their appointment, they'll automatically be added into the appointment book without any further intervention required from practice staff. So everything is sort of done in the background automatically, and it's up to the patient to sort of control their diary and check what dates would be suitable for them. So as I mentioned, Batch Self Book is fully integrated with EMIS and System 1. So you are actually able to send an appointment booking link for a specific slot type within your appointment book. And once a patient books in, they'll be added into that appointment book. And finally, it just provides an easier access to care for your patients. So patients can book into an appointment for a time that suits them. And it also reduces the chances of DNAs just because patients are aware of when they will be able to make the appointment. So it makes that process a little bit easier. We do have some frequently asked questions here, which I'll just go through very briefly, just in case anyone does have any of these like questions right off the bat. So is this available to me, and when will it be available? Yes, it's available for all practices in England, and it should be available now in your AccuRx toolbar, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like shortly. At the moment, patients can only book into an appointment up to 3 weeks in advance. So they'll only have visibility of appointments up to 3 weeks in advance. So if you are looking to get bookings in for much later than 3 weeks, we are working on increasing this, but at the moment it's limited to a maximum of 3 weeks. Do I need to cover SMS fragment costs? Yes, unless they are covered by your ICB or local federation. If it is the case that the practices have to sort of cover the fragment costs, we will get in touch. So you should expect an email from us. Can patients cancel or reschedule their appointments via the link? And can patients decline appointments? Not at the moment, but that is something that we're actively working on. So hopefully that will be in the next iteration of Batch Self Book. So that is something that's kind of front of mind with our product teams, and we're actively working on that. And finally, where can I see how many patients have booked? So if you have used Batch Self Book already, or if you're just curious to see a log or a history of how many patients have booked in using the link, that's currently not available, but we are working on that. So you'll still be able to see it in the batch messaging homepage, and I'll show you exactly what that homepage looks like. We do have an FAQ section on our website, www.accurx.com/booking. So that's got a lot of handy resources around batch self-book and self-book, which is the ability to send sort of individual patients booking link on a patient-by-patient basis. So that is also available. So you can look at that website to find out more on batch self-book. But I'll just go over to the screen that has my clinical system as well as my AccuRx toolbar, just to show you what batch self-book looks like. So at the moment, I'm logged into System 1. Batch self-book works in exactly the same way with EMIS. So if you are in EMIS practice, it works in exactly the same way. So no worries about that. To access batch self-book, all you need to do is click on the initials in your AccuRx toolbar, and then you should see a batch messaging option over there. This will take you to the batch messaging homepage. And if you have sent any batch messages in the past or any self-book links in the past, you'll be able to see all the historic messages that you've sent as batch in this message status table here. If you haven't sent anything in the past, that's completely fine. This might just be blank. But yeah, once you start sending out batch messages, you should see an audit trail of all the previous messages that were sent from your practice. To send a batch message, all you need to do is click this blue button that says send a batch message. So I'm going to click on that. And you should be able to see a self-book option right at the top. So I'm just going to click on that, and this is where I can compose my self-book message. So batch self-book is really useful to send out an appointment booking link for things like flu vaccination. So if you have any vaccination programs going on, you can send a link directly for that slot type in your appointment book. So I'm just going to select a slot type in my clinical system. So I've only got one slot in my test clinical system, which is aptly named slot. So I'm going to select that. But if you have multiple slot types, which you inevitably would have, you can select the most relevant one that you want to send the booking link for. So you may have a flu vaccination slot type, for example, and you can select that if you're trying to send out flu vaccine invites. And so we'll just use this slot type for the purposes of this demo. As you can see, we've got 325 appointments available within this slot type. And then I have a couple of different options when it comes to composing this message. So I can use free text and compose my message that way. So I can add as much or as little information within this text message field here. I would be mindful of the fragments, bearing in mind that we would like to keep this text message quite short. However, you can also use templates. So you can create templates yourself within the managed practice page. So you can do that by clicking on the inbox icon or clicking on the initials icon in your toolbar, and then clicking on manage organization, where you'll see an option to create and manage templates. But what we have done at AccuRx is we've also created some templates that you can use for self-book. So we've created some templates that are available for all practices, and those are for cervical screening, for autumn booster, for flu invitations, and polio. So if you are sending out any booking links for these specific purposes, you can just use the templates that we've made available. But you do have a couple of different options when composing that message. So I want to send a flu vaccination invite to a group of my patients. So I'm going to select this template now. And that template will auto-populate within this text message field. I can amend this template if I want, adding more information or removing anything. And you'll see that there is a SNOMED code associated with this template. So not all templates have an associated SNOMED code, and in the case that if it's the case that they haven't got a SNOMED code attached, you should see an option here with a drop down which will allow you to select a SNOMED code from a list of codes available, and you can select those instead. So I'm happy with my messaging. So just as a summary, I'm sending a booking link for a slot type named slot in my appointment book. And I'm using the template for the first flu vaccination. So I'm going to go to the next stage, which is to add a patient list. You will receive a reminder around what slot you're actually sending the booking link for and how many appointments are available over the next 3 weeks. We would recommend you use this information as a guideline on how many patients that you should sort of send a booking link to. So I wouldn't send a link for more than double the amount of available appointments. So in this case, I'd probably send this booking link out to say no more than 600 to 700 patients, just because we've seen a high conversion rate from sending appointment links to actual patients booking in. So you want to avoid a disappointment when patients click on the link. You don't want them to not have any appointments available. So I can upload my CSV file here, and we do have some step-by-step instructions on how you can obtain a patient list, both in EMIS and in System 1. So you can follow these instructions if you haven't exported a list from your clinical system before. In the meantime, I've already got a batch patient list, so I'm going to just use that. So I'll upload that now. And what is happening right now is those patients within that list are being scanned to check whether or not they have valid mobile numbers. So I've got a total of 9 patients within that list I uploaded. And of those 9 patients, 5 of those have been accepted. So I can actually view the patient list and see how many patients were accepted. From that list, 4 of those patients were not accepted, and that's because they didn't have a valid UK mobile number available. So I can see which of those patients haven't been accepted, and I can actually download this list and verify their details and send an additional batch message afterwards. But in the meantime, I'm happy to send these 5 patients my self-book link. So I'm going to click continue. This final page will allow you to review the message, so you'll be able to see the batch type. So in this case, this is a self-book batch. I'm sending this to 5 patients, and you'll also be able to see the contents of the message. You'll also be able to see the SNOMED code that's associated with this batch message. And if you're happy with everything, you can click send message. And now that message will be sent to your patient list. You'll be able to see that message in this message status table. And you can click view details next to the message to get more information around what the contents of the message is. And any other details. So that's how simple it is to send a batch self-book link to your patients. I'll just show you what that looks like from the patient's point of view. Just a quick note, batch self-book links or self-book links in general expire after 48 hours. So if the patient hasn't booked in within 48 hours, the link will expire and they will no longer be able to use that link. You will have to issue them with a new one. So switching over to the patient side of view, once they click on the batch self-book link, they'll be taken to this appointment booking page. The practices details will be on the top left over here, and the patient will need to enter their date of birth as verification of their identity. Once they confirm this, they'll be able to see all of the available appointments within that appointment book for the slot type you sent the batch book self-book link for, and they'll be able to see this up to 3 weeks in advance. I'm just going to select the next available appointment. So tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And then I'll click continue. And then the final page is where the patient will be able to review their appointment details. And if they're happy with this, they can click confirm. What's happening at this stage is the appointment is being automatically added into the appointment book. So there's no further intervention needed from the practice staff or anything like that. Once confirmed, the patient will be sent a text message just confirming that their appointment has been booked. And that's all. They've been booked into the appointment. You will also be able to see the appointment being automatically added into the appointment book. So hopefully this will show now. If not, it may take a couple of minutes. Yeah, so it's not showing yet on the appointment book, but it should show after a couple of minutes, the appointment automatically being added in. So that's batch self-book. If there are any questions on that, please feel free to type it up in the chat section. More than happy to answer any questions around the flow. I've just got some tips here on how to get the most out of batch self-book. I may have mentioned them during the demo, but I'll just reiterate them here. So when creating your slot types, we would recommend you set them up ahead of time, and try not to change the name if you have already sent out batch self-book links to patients, just because that can affect the way patients can view the appointment. So if you do change the name after sending the booking link out to your patients, it may alter what the patients can see once they click on the booking link. When it comes to composing your message, try to be as concise as possible. Use our templates if you can, but if it is the case where you're composing your own message, try and keep the fragments and the character count low. And when it comes to selecting your patient list, just be mindful of how many patients you send the booking link to. Try not to go over double the amount of available appointments, just because you don't want to send a booking link to 100 patients if you've got 10 appointments in your appointment book, because if they have been booked up, a lot of your patients won't be able to see any appointments. Batch self-book falls into the booking module, which is a new module we recently released, and that includes two features, so self-book and batch self-book, which I just demoed for you today. So self-book is the ability to send an individual patient a booking link directly via the compose screen on the AccuRx toolbar. So all you need to do is just have them up in your clinical system, click on the message icon, and you'll be able to send the patient a single appointment booking link for a chosen slot type. It's available for all GP practices under our contract with NHS England. So the license fee for batch self-book is covered until June 2023, and we'll provide more information closer to the contract end date around what's going to happen next. As I mentioned, SMS fragment costs are covered by practices or your ICB or federation. It depends on whether your ICS has agreed to cover those costs. I'm not entirely sure if that's the case here, but I can find that out for you. And just in general, the booking module aims to help save practice time and resources, and providing a more seamless experience for patients when it comes to booking into appointments. I'll open the floor up to any questions now. I can see that there are some in the chat, so I'll just scroll through them. Tito, if there are any sort of pressing questions that you see in there, please feel free to shout. Otherwise, I'll just go through them one by one.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I think we just go sort of top down if that works for everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's fine. So can you also use the batch messaging function to send different messages to groups of patients? So I'm guessing this means can you use batch messaging just to send a normal text message without including a booking link? Yes, you can. So batch messaging allows you to send either a flurry, which is our structured medical questionnaires, or free text. So that's just any free composed message to a group of your patients. It works in a similar way. All you need to do is instead of clicking on the self-book link, you just click on your initials, click on batch messaging, click on send a batch message, and you have the option of sending either a text message or a flurry questionnaire also. Can we reduce to 2 weeks in advance to meet the latest ICB and government targets? So that's feedback we haven't received, actually. We've received more requests to extend the visibility of appointments for patients. I will pass that back to the team, but at the moment it's limited to 3 weeks in advance. But thank you for providing that. I can pass that back to the team as feedback. Lucy says, only the COPD flurry questionnaire or self-book is currently available for your practice. So that may be the case at the moment. I believe you'll have access to batch self or batch messaging module. So that's including both SMS and flurry starting on the 1st of October. So next week, you should be able to see these two options in addition to the self-book option. So just keep an eye out for that, and that should be active for you from next week. Does it show who has booked appointments? So at the moment, no. But what we're working on is a feature where you'll be able to see who has booked into an appointment, and that will be available in the batch messaging homepage. So again, if you click on your initials in the toolbar and then click on batch messaging, it will be available in this message status bar. So once you click on view details for a self-book link, for example, you'll be able to see the amount of patients that have actually used that link to book into an appointment. I don't have any timeframes for that at the moment, I'm afraid, but I can get back to you with that information after speaking to the team. Is batch messaging available to all surgeries without cost? So yes, batch messaging is a feature that's been procured by Lancashire and South Cumbria. Oh, sorry, apologies. Hertfordshire and West Essex ICS. So it will be available to all surgeries from next week. Can you send a large batch and set AccuRx to stagger the invites over a period of time? Great question. So you can stagger normal batch messages. So that's if you're sending an SMS message or a flurry, you can stagger them out to be sent over a period of time. With self-book, so if you are sending a batch self-book link, you're not able to stagger those invites out. Unfortunately, they will have to be sent all at once. But we are looking into that. So hopefully in the future that will be available. But at the moment, no, staggering is only available for just plain text messages or flurries. Will the function to extend the expiry of the link beyond 48 hours be added? At the moment, it's limited to 48 hours, but I can take that feedback back to the team, so thank you. Is there a facility for patients to say they decline or have had one already without having to call the practices? So trying to avoid the number of calls to reception. Great question. So whilst the self-book option doesn't have an ability or have the option to decline appointments, you can actually send out, for example, a flu vaccination flurry. So with our flu vaccination flurry, patients can confirm whether or not they want to have a vaccination. So if you send that in advance and then gather all of the responses from those patients and then send a self-book link to patients that have agreed to receive a vaccination, you can do it that way. But at the moment, no, there isn't a way to decline directly from the booking link text message. Can it be extended from 3 to 4 weeks, please, and longer than 48 hours active? Again, that is something that we're currently working on, so thank you for that. I will provide more information as I receive it from the product teams. I can see there's quite a few requests in the chat around extending the expiry of the links. So again, I will pass this feedback on to the team. Is there a chance that patients can double book into a slot while it's waiting to be added into the appointment slot? So great question. No. So what happens is if a patient uses the self-book link to book into an appointment and at the same time another patient is looking at that same appointment, it really is first come first serve. When it comes to actually confirming that appointment, if that appointment has already been booked by another patient in that same time, the second patient will just not be able to book into that slot and they'll receive an error message, and then we'll have to just go back and select another date. So the booking writes automatically to EMIS, i.e. no need to click on anything in the AccuRx inbox. That's correct. So once you send the link out to patients and they use that link to book into an appointment, they'll automatically be added into an appointment book within your clinical system. So you won't have to do anything else. Do the slot types have to be set as bookable online in System 1? So no, you don't have to set them up as bookable online. You can just create them as normal slot types and they should be available in the list, in the drop-down list of slot types in your clinical system once you select self-book. So you should be able to see a list of all the slot types in your clinical system. It doesn't matter if they have been set as bookable online or not. Leona says, I've used this for 2 to 3 years, flew last week and have had some really good responses, but some are now calling in as link inactive as it's been over 48 hours. Yep. That is really good feedback to take back to this team. So thank you for providing that information. To counter that, I would recommend just sending it to a small cohort at a time, and just being mindful of the amount of patients that you send the booking link to, respectively, with regards to how many appointments you actually have in your appointment book. You can also send multiple reminders, follow-up reminders if patients have not booked in. So you can use batch messaging in different ways. If there is a delay between the patient getting confirmation and the booking going into the practice system, is there a danger of the practice booking the same slot? So no, once the patient confirms their appointment, they are immediately added into the appointment book. It may take like a minute or so, but it should be fairly immediate. If within that time someone at the practice sort of manually books that patient into or another patient into that appointment, the appointment will fail from the patient's point of view, and then they'll have to just use that link again to book it in. They'll receive a confirmation text message that the appointment has failed, the booking has failed, to try again. If you have a clinic already set up, is there a way to create a link after it's set up? For example, if you want to fill at short notice, but it was set up as a normal clinic without remote booking enabled. So you can actually send a booking link for any appointment slot type in your clinical system. So you can just try sending out a batch self-book link for that clinic, and you should get patients booking into that. If you have any issues with sending a batch self-book link out to your patients at all, we do have our support team who are on hand to assist you. So you can go to any page of our website, for example, this one that I'm on right here, and on the bottom right corner, you will see a live chat option, and you should be able to contact our support team through there, and they'll be able to assist you with that. We only allow booking for 2 weeks in advance, as AccuRx is sending for 3 weeks. Will the patient see the embargoed appointments also? So no, patients will only be able to see the appointments that you make visible from your end. So if there are any embargoed appointments, patients won't be able to see them. Do we generate the CSV file from a report on System 1 and then use that to save to our drive? So you can, so we do provide steps on how you can generate the CSV file. We've got step-by-step instructions, so just follow that. And if you have any issues, just reach out to our support team. We'll be able to assist. Is there a limit to the amount of patients that can be uploaded at any one time? So no, there isn't a limit, so you can send it to an unlimited amount of patients. We do have some guidance around how to create an appointment slot within, or how to set up appointment slots in your clinical system. So if you do want some guidance on that, I can share that with Tito, and then you can just share that out to the rest of the team if possible. And that will provide a step-by-step sort of guide on how you can create appointment slots that will work with Batch Self-Book. But there's nothing special that you need to do when creating appointment slots, but it's just a handy guide on how you can create an appointment slot.
And just while you're finding another question here, so in terms of costs, so these costs, as mentioned, are sort of handled by the ICS, and the costs for the SMS messages are also covered by the ICB as part of the sort of existing agreements. Just because there's a few questions about that.
Thanks for confirming that. Thank you. Can the flu template be amended to state that the link will expire in 48 hours so the patients are aware they need to book quickly? So I believe that template, the existing template already includes information around the expiry of the link. So let's just double check. So yeah, once you select a slot within your appointment book, it does say over here to book, please follow this link within 48 hours. It doesn't explicitly say that the link will expire, but if you want to add that as an add-on within the text message, you're free to do that. Or you can create a template within the manage organization page, which includes that information. If appointments are blocked, not embargoed, can they be booked? I'm not too sure on that. I'm assuming that if they have been blocked and aren't, they won't be available or visible for the patients, but I can go back and double check that with the team and then get back to you. If the link has expired after 48 hours, can you send the patient another link to be able to book? Yeah, that's correct. So you can send as many links as you want to each individual patient. So if it is the case that the patient or the link has expired, you can send the link to the patient in exactly the same way as I showed. See, that's all for questions now. If I have missed any pertinent ones, please let me know, or feel free to add more in the chat. But I hope that has been helpful in showing how easy it is to send a batch self-book message out to your patients. I can send some resources out to you, Tito, to share out to everyone else, and that will contain some handy guides as well as some flash demo videos on how you can send out batch self-book links.
That's great, thank you. And that will all be circulated after the meeting, along with the recording link for those that were not able to sort of see all of this session.
Perfect, thank you. So I can see there's a question around how to add batch self-book templates. So I can show you that very quickly. So all you need to do is just head back over to your AccuRx toolbar, click on your initials, and then you'll see an option called Manage Organization. Just click on that, and then you'll be able to scroll down under AccuRx Desktop. So under this heading over here, you should see an option to manage templates. So you can click on this, and here you will be able to create templates for yourself. So if you create templates under this My Templates tab, this will only make the appointments available or templates rather available for yourself. If you do it under the second tab here, this will be for your practice level templates. So it will be available for all staff across your practice. And then we also have some templates at AccuRx that we make available for all practices. So you can review them here as well. To create a template, all you need to do is just click on the appropriate heading and then click on Create New. And then you'll be able to enter the title, the message, and then you'll be able to categorize it or associate a SNOMED code with that template. And then you can click Save. And then that will be immediately available for you to use in your outbound messaging. Corinne said, your chat support has just told me that I've not paid for the SMS, which is why I don't have it. Please, can you resolve? So as I mentioned, you will have access to our full batch messaging module, which allows you to send outbound batch messages to patients, as well as outbound flurries from next week. So we will send you messaging as soon as that is available for you guys. And all you need to do to confirm that you have it is click on send a batch message, and then you'll be able to see these additional options. In the meantime, you'll probably only have self book as an option within this batch messaging page. But hopefully from next week, you should be able to see the others. If an appointment has been blocked but is then unblocked and available to book, does this transfer over to the batch book link that they are now available to book? Does this happen straight away, or does it take time for the available appointments to show? So any updates you make to your appointment book, it can take up to 30 minutes to reflect from the patient's view. So it can take up to a maximum of 30 minutes. It may be quicker, but we do a scrape of your appointment book every 30 minutes. So that's the maximum it can take. And yes, once you make more available appointments available or unblock appointments, it should be visible to the patient. It won't be immediate. It can take a maximum of 30 minutes, but it will be available for the patient. When you run a patient search on System 1, it also identifies landline numbers. How can these be filtered out? So you can filter that out in the actual spreadsheet, the CSV file. I'm not entirely sure on the most efficient way to do that, whether it be manual or if there's like a quick formula that you can use. I wouldn't be able to advise on that. I'm afraid that's probably something to check with System 1 to see if there's an easy way to do it. I'm not the best at spreadsheets, so once you have got your compiled, once you have got your sorted CSV list, you can just upload it onto this self book flow, and then you should be able to send it to your patients. But in terms of prepping the patient list, you could reach out to our support team. They may be able to assist you with that, but I'm not entirely sure on that, so apologies. If someone cancels an appointment, does this become available for other patients to book again? Great question. So at the moment, we patients aren't able to cancel from the batch self book confirmation text message. If they do want to cancel, they can call into the practice and cancel that way. Or if you have appointment reminders set up, which is an additional service, patients can cancel using the appointment reminders text message that they receive. I can forward some guidance on appointment reminders just so they can see how you can use that. That's a great way for patients to be reminded of their upcoming appointment, and it also gives them the ability to cancel appointments if they can no longer make it. And you also have access to that from next week. So if they do cancel their appointment using that appointment reminders link, then yes, that appointment will be available for another patient to book into afterwards. Can you add a list of appointments, for example, 20 appointments for a 10-minute slot? All appointments will be listed as 8:30 a.m., for example, or do we need to add each appointment as its own individual time? For example, 8:30, 8:32, 8:34. I'm not entirely sure on that one. As I mentioned, we do have a resource on how to set up your slot types for batch self book, so I can share that with you, and hopefully that will contain more information. Otherwise, our support team can offer more assistance when it comes to setting up slots. But I can go back to the team and just find that out for you. Will we all be getting batch messaging as well as batch self book? Yep, that's correct. So from next week, you should have batch messaging, which will allow you to send just regular text messages and flurries out to patients. Right now, you should have access to the self book options, as that's been available for the last few weeks now for all practices nationally. But batch messaging, which includes SMS message and flurries, should be available from next week. I'm on the FAQ for slot types. It's not giving this information. Some more guidance will be great, please. Yeah, of course, I'll take that back to the team, and we'll see what can be done with that. Once again, I hope that has been helpful. If you do have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to our support team, who will be well equipped to answer any questions. Otherwise, just await the resources from myself. And if you do have any other questions, you can forward them over to me, and I'll be more than happy to assist.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mahir. Yeah, as mentioned, we will be sending this out as well as any other sort of documentation that Mahir provides, sort of following this, sort of hopefully at some point today, if not tomorrow. But yeah, if you have any further questions, please do reach out to the DFPC team, and they'll be able to solve any queries you have. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day.